8.1 Plan Quality Management. Plan quality management is the process of identifying quality requirements and or standards for the project and its deliverables, and documenting how the project will demonstrate compliance with quality requirements and or standards. The key benefit of this process is that it provides guidance and direction on how quality will be managed and verified throughout the project. This process is performed once or at predetermined points in the project, and that's from PMBOK Guide page 277. I mentioned in the module overview that there are 5 levels of increasingly effective quality management, or you could say 5 levels of quality management maturity in an organisation, which were, starting at the lowest: 1. Let the customer find the defects. 2. Test the deliverables and then fix the defects so that they don't get to the customer. Number 3. Test and fix the process which delivers the products. 4. Incorporate quality into the planning and design of the project and product. And 5. Create a culture throughout the organisation that is aware and committed to quality in processes and products. And a good way to work towards increasing quality management maturity within an organisation is to perform quality planning in parallel with the other planning processes. For example, looking at level 4 above, incorporate quality into the planning and designing of the project and product. Incorporating quality into the planning and designing of the project and product and aligning with quality standards will impact cost and schedule. It will most likely increase both. However, if you remember when we talked about the cost of quality, and if you don't remember the definition, please learn it for the exam as it comes up often. But the premise of cost of quality is that if it is implemented and followed correctly, then it will save much more than it costs. But you still need to factor in the changes to cost and schedule, and you will need a detailed risk assessment too. The quality planning techniques discussed in the PMBOK Guide are those which they believe are the most frequently used on projects. You may have your own favourites, but you're free to use those, of course, but in the examination you need to stick with what the PMBOK Guide has suggested. So, plan quality management inputs. Input number 1 is a project charter. The project charter provides the high-level project description and product characteristics. It also contains the project approval requirements, measurable project objectives and related success criteria that will influence the quality management of the project. Input number 2, project management plan. Project management plan components required for plan quality management include requirements management plan. The requirements management plan provides the approach for identifying, analysing and managing the requirements for the quality management plan and quality metrics will reference. The project will be delivering products, services and results, but these outputs must satisfy customer requirements. By definition, the products, services and results will be unique. But if you don't pay careful attention to the requirements, your products may turn out to be unique in ways you didn't intend. The risk management plan. This provides the approach for identifying, analysing and monitoring risks. Remember that when you carefully plan your quality management, you need to know the risks that are likely to wreck your plan and how to control them. Some people believe that if you implement a quality standard, the risks magically melt away. This is not the case. In fact, if you implement a quality standard, you will increase some risks, especially if the team members don't understand the quality plan. Stakeholder engagement plan. This provides a method for documenting the stakeholders' needs and expectations that provide the foundation for quality management. You need to have a clear understanding of what the stakeholders want and what they don't want. You are not there to follow all their wishes because they will change and probably increase day by day. And in fact, some stakeholders actually will want the project to fail. Just think of a project to drill oil in a nature reserve, for example. Scope baseline. It's important to remember in the exam that a scope baseline is actually a group of 3 management products: the agreed scope, work breakdown structure baseline and the work breakdown structure dictionary baseline. In earlier versions of the PMBOK Guide, ending with the 2nd edition, which is called PMBOK 2000, a very futuristic sounding name at the time, these 3 products were considered separately. e.g. they would appear as three separate inputs or outputs to processes, but then it was realised by PMI that whenever one occurred, the other two occurred as well, and so they just amalgamated them to simplify the process diagrams. That was from the PMBOK Guide 3rd edition onwards. The scope statement includes the acceptance criteria for the deliverables, and all of these criteria must be met, which is why they are called acceptance criteria. It means the product will not be accepted if they aren't. But keep a careful eye on the criteria. Make sure you're meeting stakeholder needs and not stakeholder greeds, because unnecessary criteria will burden the project in terms of time and cost and probably unnecessary work. Input number 3, project documents. And here we're looking at the assumption log. This holds details of all the assumptions and constraints regarding quality requirements and standard compliance. Assumptions are what you believe to be true concerning the project, and constraints are factors which limit your ability to manage the project. You don't have to prove them, but you need to be able to explain how they were arrived at, and you need to review them now and then. Requirements documentation. This captures the project requirements, including the project and product quality requirements. The project team will plan to implement these requirements on the project. Requirements traceability matrix. This shows you where the requirements came from, who requested them and when. It also gives the test requirements and status of each requirement. The risk register. This holds information on threats and opportunities that may impact quality requirements. Stakeholder register. This helps identify stakeholders who have a particular interest in or impact on the quality, with the emphasis on the customer and the project sponsor needs and expertise. Number 4, enterprise environmental factors. And here we're looking at governmental agency regulations. There may be regulations or legislation which will impose extra constraints on your quality. Rules, standards and guidelines specific to the application area. Geographic distribution, organizational structure, marketplace conditions, working or operating conditions of the project or deliverables, and cultural perceptions. Number 5, organizational process assets, and this would be the organizational quality management system, including policies, procedures and guidelines, quality templates such as check sheets, traceability matrix, and others, and historical databases and lessons learned repository. Planned quality management tools and technique. Number 1, as you might guess, is the expert judgment. Expertise should be considered from individuals or groups with specialised knowledge in training in the following topics: quality assurance, quality control, quality measurements, quality improvements and quality systems. Number 2, data gathering. Techniques that can be used for this process include benchmarking. The best way to know how good or bad your system is to compare it with another quality system on similar projects. And to be most effective, if possible, you should compare against projects in other organisations. This helps avoid experimental bias. E.g., if you only compare with other projects inside your own organisation, all of these projects may have the same weaknesses, and so they won't show up on your benchmark. Brainstorming. This is a technique we've discussed before. It encourages the creation of many new ideas, possibly under the guidance of a facilitator, and then you filter down all of those ideas down into just the best ones. Interviews. Project and product quality needs and expectations, implicit and explicit, formal and informal, can be identified by interviewing experienced project participants, stakeholders and subject matter experts. Interviews should be conducted in an environment of trust and confidentiality to encourage honest and unbiased contributions. Number 3, data analysis. Techniques that can be used for this process include cost-benefit analysis. This is a financial analysis tool used to compare alternatives to determine which should give you a better return for your dollar. A cost benefit of 2 to 3 means that for every $2 you spend, you earn $3 of value. In this case, you're comparing various quality options, of course, so you can have a higher productivity and less rework. But this is just one of the tools to use. You need to use more, because this is just looking at a monetary value. Other things to remember is that when you're comparing options using cost-benefit analysis, you won't start off with an 8, 2 to 3 or 4 to 7. It can take a lot of work and expense to estimate the value returned, and it may not be that accurate. Cost of quality. I mentioned cost of quality before in the project quality management module overview. It's important to remember the definition. The cost of quality includes all costs incurred over the life of the product by investment in preventing non-conformance to requirements, appraising the product or service for conformance to requirement, and failing to meet requirements, rework. That's on the PMBOK guide, page 274. In this case, we are considering the cost of quality in relation to the following three costs. Prevention costs, costs related to the prevention of poor quality in the products, deliverables or services of the specific project. Appraisal costs, costs related to evaluating, measuring, auditing and testing the products, deliverables or services of the specific project. Failure costs, internal or external, costs related to non-conformance of the products, deliverables or services to the needs or expectations of the stakeholders. These three were from the PMBOK guide, page 282. Figure 8.5 lists examples for each cost group. In the left-hand column are the costs of conformance. Prevention costs are training, document processes, equipment, and these are all extra costs over your standard costs, e.g. extra or better equipment just to improve quality, and also the time to do it right. I'm sure you've heard the saying before, there's never enough time to do it right the first time, but there's always enough time to fix it. Sad but true. However, there's another saying, let's take the time to get it right the first time and add that cost to the cost of quality. Continuing down the table, we have appraisal costs. And by appraisal, we mean checking, testing and examining. In the right-hand column, we have the cost of non-conformance. This is what it costs you if you don't have a good quality system. It's split into internal costs, meaning the cost of scrap if a product can't be fixed, and rework if it can be fixed. They are called internal because the faults are discovered by the project team, not by the customer. The other non-conformance costs are external, as these are first discovered by the customer. It is liabilities if someone is insured, warranty work and lost business. 4. Decision making. A decision making technique can be used for this process is multi-criteria decision analysis. This involves a group of stakeholders meeting to identify key issues and then ranking them and weighting them to arrive at a prioritized list. Number 5. Data representation. Techniques that can be used for this process include flowcharts. These are also known as process maps because they depict the transformation of inputs into outputs. They're standard basic flowcharts with the activities displayed in boxes, and they permit branching on decisions and loops. Flowcharts are also useful for process improvement because they enable the process to be visualized. One version of a value chain known as a SIPOC, suppliers, inputs, process, output and customers model, is shown in figure 8.6. Logical data model. Logical data models are a visual representation of the organization's data described in the business language and interdependent of any specific technology. The logical data model can be used to identify where data integrity or other quality issues can arise. Matrix diagrams. These can help find the strength of relationships among different factors, causes and objectives that exist between the rows and columns that form the matrix. Depending on how many factors may be confirmed, the project manager can use different shapes of matrix diagram, for example, LTYXC and roof-shaped. An L-shaped matrix relates two groups of items to each other or one group to itself. A T-shaped matrix relates three groups of items. Groups B and C are each related to A. Groups B and C are not related to each other. A Y-shaped matrix relates three groups of items. Each group is related to the other two in a circular fashion. A C-shaped matrix relates three groups of items all together simultaneously in 3D. An X-shaped matrix relates four groups of items. Each group is related to two others in a circular fashion. A roof-shaped matrix relates one group of items to itself, is usually used along with an L or T-shaped matrix. In this process, they facilitate identifying the key quality metrics that are important to the success of the project. Also, mind mapping. This is a method for quickly capturing explicit information in easy to understand diagrammatic form. Tools and techniques number 6, test and inspection planning. During the planning phase, the project manager and the project team determine how to test or inspect the product, deliverable or service to meet the stakeholder needs and expectations, as well as how to meet the goal of the product's performance and reliability. The tests and inspections are industry dependent and can include, for example, alpha and beta tests in software products, strength tests in construction projects, inspection in manufacturing, and field tests and non-destructive tests in engineering. And that came from the PMBOK guide, page 285. Number 7 is meetings. Project teams may hold meetings with relevant stakeholders to develop quality management plan. Planned quality management outputs. Number 1 is a quality management plan. The quality management plan is a component of the project management plan that describes how applicable policies, procedures and guidelines will be implemented to achieve the quality objectives. It describes the activities and resources necessary for the project management team to achieve the quality objectives set for the project. Just in case you're watching this video and thinking, my projects are too small to need a quality management plan, the fact is that you do need one. But you don't have to use a 100-page volume bound in leather or a multimedia DVD version. You simply tailor it to suit your needs. It could be totally informal, maybe just a quarter page. If you're building a rocket ship to fly to Mars, then maybe you do need a 100-page quality management plan bound in leather. Just tailor it up or tailor it down as you need, as long as it suits your particular needs. PMI doesn't mind because the PMBOK guide is not prescriptive. Like all the other plans in the project, you need to review it and update it as often as is practical. And PMBOK guide is meant to serve you. It's not meant to be your master. If it becomes a burden to you and to the team, you really need to think about tailoring it again. The quality management plan may include quality standards that will be used by the project. You'll be adopting your quality standard from your organisation or project management office. If there is no standard, then you can choose standards that are suitable. However, certain products, materials and work practices can have quality standards of their own, possibly mandated by legislation. Quality objectives of the project. What level of quality are you aiming for? Quality roles and responsibilities, project deliverables and processes subject to quality review, quality control and quality management activities planned for the project. Quality tools will be used for the project. These can include Ishikawa diagrams, also known as cause and effect diagrams or fishbone diagrams, flow charts, Pareto charts, checklists, run charts, scatter diagrams, and there are many others. Major procedures relevant to the project, such as dealing with non-conformance, corrective actions, procedures, and continuous improvement procedures as well. They may be part of total quality management, Kaizen, Six Sigma, and so on. Output number 2, quality matrix. One of the common questions when planning a project is, what does success look like? It may not be asked in those words, but it's something you need to know for any output from your project. A quality metric specifically describes project attributes and product attributes and how the quality process will be able to verify it complies with them. The PMBOK guide gives some examples on page 287. Percentage of tasks completed on time, cost performance measured by CPI. CPI stands for Cost Performance Index, which you've learned about in project cost management. Failure rate is another example of a quality metric. Number of defects identified per day, total downtime per month, errors found per line of code. I don't think PMI does much programming. I think a more realistic measure would be errors per 1,000 lines or 100 lines of code, but not errors per line of code. Customer satisfaction scores. which you would probably get from surveys and it gives others. You just need to decide which attributes you really need without overburdening the team, because everything takes time, budget and resources, and you're looking for a payback on everything you do. We've covered the cost of quality, about getting more out than what you put in, but there comes a point when putting more resources into quality doesn't give any more payback. It's all about balance. Output number 3, project management plan updates. Any change to the project management plan goes through the organizational change control process via change request. Components of the project management plan which may require a change request include the risk management plan. Decisions on the quality management process may require changes to the agreed upon approach to managing risk on the project, and these will be recorded in risk management plan. Scope baseline may change as a result of the process, especially if specific quality management activities are added or removed. Please note that the work breakdown structure dictionary also contains quality requirements. Output number 4, project document updates. These would include lessons learned register, requirements traceability matrix, the risk register, the stakeholder register to record additional information on existing or new stakeholders. And that brings us to the end of Plan Quality Management. Next lesson is 8.2, Manage Quality. Please read the corresponding chapter in the PMBOK guide before watching the video. Thank you.